welcome to the January 23rd, 2020 Capital Investment Committee meeting. Item 1, consideration of approval of minutes from November 21st, 2019.
Removal. Go ahead.
Approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 2, consideration to deny water and sewer availability for 1886 Wilson Pike.
So this is, so the water department, we're recommending denial on this. The resident the applicant is requesting approval. This is over Wilson Pike. They would connect to the breezeway kind of gravity system that we have. They would be required, there's a force main that runs right by their property. They cannot connect into the force main. They can't connect a grinder pump into the force main. So they would be required to extend a main about 2,000 feet across the future school property right there to connect into the gravity system. I think that's is that large?
It's an existing school.
It's the existing school, okay. That large property kind of in the middle on the top. They'd be required to extend the main over that. And we're recommending denial.
Because of the 2,000-foot,
Yeah, and it's just not how we would recommend extending the system.
what about water?
Not our district, yes.
Oh, so it's just sewer? Okay.
Thank you.
I move for,
Can I-
Is the applicant here?
That I-
Okay, there's no applicant.
I move for denial. Approval of the recommendation to deny.
There will be no second. Very well. I see how we're going to be today. Well, then
I
we'll,
have discussion,
okay,
so I will second it for discussion.
okay. If you second it, I don't think you're allowed to speak against it.
Yes, I am.
As a second, you are?
Yes,
All
I
right,
am.
lovely.
I did not, I was not number one. If you second it, it's fine. I don't know if I want to speak for or against it, because I still don't have enough information. Why are they wanting sewer? What purposes and what? And the other thing is, why can they extend onto our system with a grinder pump?
So when the grinder pump pressure is smaller than the force main pressure,
Sure.
and so just the law of dynamics is that the force main's gonna back up into the grinder pump system.
Well, how do we end up doing that in other places where we have grinder pumps?
We have grinder pumps that discharge into gravity
In
mains.
the gravity? Okay,
Yeah.
so you're saying the force main.
So if you look at the
Yeah.
property, so the property in question is where the little balloon is.
Yeah, I know where that is.
The closest breezeway cul-de-sac is where the gravity main is. They would have to extend a private service line to that
In
area.
order, so it wouldn't end up backing up.
Correct.
And, okay, so if they had to do that, do they know that, and are they willing to pay for it? And I don't know, how much would that be? What's going on there?
So if we did give them availability, they would have to pay for it. That'd be an agreement similar to we do any other availability. That's been presented to them. I don't have the decision of whether they'd want to pay for that or not.
Well, we need to know that. I mean, what kind of cost are we talking? 1,000, 10,000, 50,000? I don't know, what are we talking?
It's over 10,000.
Okay, so it's extensive.
Yeah.
Is the applicant's property in the city of Franklin?
It's in the urban growth boundary.
But it is outside the city limits?
But it's surrounded pretty much by city, hasn't it? City is to the,
It's in the city.
It is?
Oh, I'm sorry.
it is, it's
I
in the
had the
city
wrong
limits? I was gonna say, because down here to Clovercroft to Wilson Pike is city. So I'm
You're right.
like, how do they get outside the city? They're not.
Notice I was looking at the wrong colors.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're,
One color deal is
they're-
inside the city.
Yes.
they're within the city limits. I'm not comfortable denying this.
I mean, we can go back and
I-
present the cost to them of what it would be to make the tap.
I think they need more information. I think they need to tell you what they want to do, and I think they need to come back and then you bring it back.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Now, I have a question.
Yes,
Anybody
Ms.
else?
Martin?
Do they know, do they know the approximate amount that it's gonna cost?
They know that they would be responsible for extending that service, yes.
But not how much?
And that would be their responsibility.
But not how much?
I don't know that we've shared that with them because we wouldn't be doing the work.
Who would be doing the work?
Well, it would be a private service line, so they would need to get someone, they would need to garner that easement across the school property and then to get a plumber or someone to run that
I don't know if the,
line.
I don't know if the red line is the actual location, but it's not actually drawn across the school property, it's drawn across,
Right, it is.
So
It's in the front.
the red line on this map represents a force main,
Mhm.
and a low-pressure system tying into that type of force main is not a good alternative to choose. I think from the system perspective, the recommendation for no simply is really largely related to the fact that we don't want to extend sewer in a way that's disorganized, if I
Okay.
can say it that way. So that's
whether they're willing to pay for it or not.
correct, that's
Do-
hence the recommendation.
Okay, question. Do we know if the other properties, let's see, the other properties would be west, yeah. So the other properties west of them, I think there's 1, 2, 3 properties west of them. Have they, I think we need to go back to them and say, hey, you know, if you want to do this, you want to pay for it, that's one thing. Have you spoken to your neighbors? Couldn't they all get together and do this together as a project? Because these
It would be
people,
drastically more expensive if multiple people did it rather than one service, because you would actually put in a low-pressure system to do that.
well, all these people are in the city, remember, and when we annex people in the city, we're supposed to provide services to them. And we are supposed to provide, according to what we've been told years ago, in a reasonable time period. So have we offered sewer to these people ever? Have they ever turned it down? Have they ever come to us and asked before? Obviously, these people are asking. I just have a lot of questions here. I'd like to know what the history is here. And I think we need to, at least, if nothing else, go back to them, tell them the cost of it, approximately what it would cost them. Are they interested in pursuing it? And if they are, then we need to know that. If not, then we need to know that as well.
Okay.
That's my recommendation.
We can offer to have staff go back and review some of these questions you're asking, how they came to be in the city and how they were annexed.
Well, they've been in there
et
for
cetera, et cetera.
for
So,
quite a while.
yes, ma'am.
They're in there a long time.
Okay.
Because I remember, Dana, was it before I was on the board that you all approved Breezeway? Because I do believe it was, because I did not vote on it.
I don't remember last week.
But I
don't know
remember
when that was.
you mentioning at one meeting about not annexing in east of Wilson Pike. And yet Breezeway got annexed in, and I remember they brought Chardonnay to us, and I said, well, let's annex it in and say no to it until the road gets done and then sewer gets over there. But nobody wanted to do that, so we said no, and I said, well, there it goes, it's gonna get developed, and it did get developed in the county.
Okay.
So they don't have sewer there on that side, but they do have it Breezeway and the school.
Okay, Ms. Martin, are you comfortable with asking staff to come back to us with a cost estimate and having
It
done
would
the?
be a cost estimate for the homeowner.
Right.
We would not absorb that cost.
Right, of course, and
Yes.
then having
Yeah.
conveyed that to the homeowner, and then let us know what they say.
Yes.
Are you okay with that?
Why
Yes.
don't I withdraw my motion?
Okay, and we won't do it by vote, we'll just do it by acclamation about that. Okay.
Perfect.
Right.
Item 3, consideration of a draft professional services agreement with C&T Engineering and Inspection Services for the construction phase services of the Holiday Court wastewater pump station construction project for the amount of $82,530.
So this is for part-time construction services during some of the more critical phases of the rehabilitation of the pump station. The bid opening for that is February 5th, and for the Holiday Court pump station, so we
Yeah.
want to move on that as quickly as possible.
Yeah. I move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4, consideration of a draft professional services agreement with the C.I. Thornburg Company Incorporated for the installation of the FlexNet system for the automatic metering infrastructure for an amount of $280,998.50.
So this is kind of a 3-year project where we're implementing the automatic metering infrastructure, so AMI. So it's a system that will allow us to kind of have real-time data on the water meters, water consumption.
Yeah.
The final goal would be to have customers be able to see their consumption and when they're, using more than they anticipate, less than they anticipate. This particular PSA is to allow them to put up towers that's going to transmit the data from the meters, from the towers back to a central location that we can then pull that into our billing infrastructure and get the bills out that way.
I have a question. Oh, wait, wait, wait.
So do we have, was there a motion and a second?
Not yet.
No, I move for approval to discuss it.
Sure.
Second.
Great.
All right. How can they observe what they're using? How do they go
So-
about it? Is it online? Is it
Yeah,
through
so
a
we're
bill?
putting, so we're in the process of, we have a 3-year project that we're working on in our CIP budget, and we're currently working on changing all the meters out in the city, in our water district. So those meters will be compatible with this radio system. And then once we get the radios up, the meters will transmit data to the towers, who will then send it back to us.
So does that come out in the bill, or if I wanted to know how much I was using, I call
Yeah,
somebody?
So ultimately, we'd like to have kind of a customer portal where a customer can log on to their account and see their real-time water usage. We're getting to that point. We kind of have to set up the beginnings of it to get to that point ultimately.
And
But
this is the beginning?
yes.
Okay.
So this is just to construct the towers. And so we have 5 towers that'll be at our water tank sites. And then we'll have 1 repeater tower, which will kind of we can bounce data off of in the case of, inclement weather, elevation changes.
Ms. Berger?
Okay, you sort of answered that. Where are the towers located and how large are they? And are they very visible? And what are we talking about for towers? Because when people say towers, everybody goes, whoa, wait, you know.
Yeah,
And where are
they're-
they located?
So there's 3 of them at our water tank sites, and then, or 4 of them, I'm sorry, and then 1 of them will be at the composting facility. And then the repeater site is still to kind of be determined based on the signal strengths that we get. They're not going to be larger than the SCADA towers that we already have there.
About
So-
the same height?
Yeah,
Okay. Right.
so nothing obtrusively
Okay.
visible.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5, consideration of a professional services agreement with Barge Design Solutions, Inc. for the design of the Bicentennial Park project in the lump sum amount of $385,500. Before I entertain a motion, I would just like to point out that the Bicentennial was in 1999.
Exactly. It was.
As part of the, thank you, as part of the 2019-2028 CIP, the board funded this project at an estimated cost of about $4.175 million. This is basically to upgrade that pavilion, improve portions of North Margin Street, and implement sections of the park per the master plan that the board has approved. And happy to answer any questions.
I have a question.
Ms. Martin? Could I get before we get into discussion, can we get a motion and a second? Great.
Second.
There you go. Now, Ms. Martin?
I thought the plans were done. I thought we had seen the plans.
You've seen the master plan,
Yeah.
but we've not done the detailed design of what we're actually going to be bidding out. And that's what this phase is for, is to do that detailed design.
But we're going to use the master plan.
Yes, ma'am, we're gonna go off the master plan, that's what this scope is.
Okay.
Usually we start high level with that master plan to get the board buy-in, public buy-in, and then we go forward with a more detailed design that we bid out to a contractor.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Peterson?
Whenever I was looking back at this, we had the main idea here some time ago, and since then, we have had so much of a problem with parking downtown, and there was some discussion at some point about perhaps using the places where, right now, the construction people are parking and everything, that we might have some opportunity to do something about having parking for downtown out there. And I noticed on this you know, there'd be parking kind of around the pavilion only whenever there are events. And then this other part that they're looking at, they're talking about a reinforced turf parking and also, I guess that, maybe I'm wrong, maybe that's the part where they said this, only during special events. Because the daily parking on the grass, so the grass would not survive. But in some other places that I have visited, they had, you know, parking a block or two from downtown, and then that's where people could, you know, go into park. And we're having such a time now with, I mean, you know, every street that is close to Main Street is just, you know, just completely full of parked cars at all times, at least whenever I've driven by. And what was the idea about perhaps maybe making some of this available for people that work or just come to, I guess, you know, buy things?
Yeah, I think the parking areas are gonna be available to the public. I think the parking on the, kind of that impervious grassed area, you need to have it limited to some degree simply because you're not gonna have sustainable
Yeah, and it's a
grass growth, so that's the
Yeah.
idea behind that. And that'd be used less frequently than your hard surface parking. But I don't recall the specific number of spaces that will become available here, but that's something I'd be happy to pull together.
It's about 60.
60 spaces
Will
altogether,
be available permanently.
yes.
Okay, so number 20 that you see on there, that's the
That's the part-time
part-time only,
only.
197 spaces.
Correct.
I mean, you know, I think we might want to look at that again. I'm
Yeah,
not-
right now too, we're trying to stay within the budgeted number that we provided with the CIP. And if we start going back and making more pavement, obviously that number increases, and that's fine if that's the way the board wants to go. But we were really proposing to just stick with the master plan. So if that's something you guys want to revisit, that's a pretty big process to go through, and we're happy to do
I
that.
just
You're
want
talking- Ms. Peters, you're talking about the difference between making them permanent and making them
only available
only,
for
okay.
events.
So is that something that would be hard to add as a option
It's
contract?
not hard to add any time down the road, because we'll grade, if we have to grade it out, we'll
No,
grade
I mean,
it out.
as a, they're doing design.
Yeah.
So they'll do this isn't the actual construction. So when we get to construction, we can ask for an option
Bid
to
altogether,
make
yes,
it,
sir.
a bid option. Okay,
There will be some design differences, because if you do a hard surface lot, you'll have to put in drainage infrastructure in the area. And remember, this is the old dump area, so that's one of the reasons we went with the grass paving in this area, was to stay above grade, so we weren't touching any of the old dumps, so we were just gonna put topsoil on top, put the grid on top so you could park on it. We can absolutely put parking in here, but that does require additional design, and that's not scoped.
I think it's something we could very easily revisit as we
Yeah.
get farther along and see, because we're at a tight budget right now with the structure that we gotta do, and see where we're at budget-wise and bring that back to the board when we get farther along to see if you still wanna proceed with that option or not.
That's an easy add-on amendment at a later time,
Yes.
whenever you choose to do that.
Well, I certainly
the
think it's
surface?
something that we have, that since we did look at this original, this plan, the most recent plan, I'll put it that way, we have seen a great deal of concern about that. And as I say, the guys that are down there, you know, working on construction now, they're parked out there, and some big machinery too, park out there all the time now. And so I'd like for us to consider. No, but what I mean to say is, but they use that for a long
Yeah.
time.
I hear what you're saying, but that's at least 2 blocks from anywhere you can shop or eat, so
Well-
no one's gonna use it.
Well,
Oh,
wait,
yeah.
may I say
Yeah.
one thing about it?
Uh,
The other thing
Let's say something
is
there.
that people who work downtown
Exactly.
could park there, and, wait, have you never been to any place? Where they have, things like that, and if it were for people that are gonna be there all day, then you could have just a little
Yeah.
shuttle, going back and forth in the morning, you know,
Well,
for
you
an
have
hour
to.
or so.
You have
And
to.
in the afternoon. But,
Yeah.
I can tell you right now the people that are parking are walking a long way.
Yeah,
If you look
they are.
Okay. Well,
closely.
Well,
what we have is a motion to approve the contract for the engineer, for the design, or the engineering. So, Ms. Berger?
so if we're going to approve the concept, or the contract for design, we're talking 190-some spaces over here, right? On this side, and then 60-some over here on the other side by the pavilion, correct?
Generally so.
Yeah. I will say right now, I just want to go on record to say this, that whatever we do with those 190-odd spaces, we've got to make it a decent surface that can be driven on every day, because I'm totally 100% with you, Ann, on this, that if you go to different communities, especially your historic communities, go to a lot of the historic communities, we have a lot of visitors, they have none of the employees parking in the downtown area, or none of the employees parking within a radius of so many blocks, because they have to have that for the local people and the visitors. And that's one of the issues we have. We have got to have off-site parking that's relative, this off-site parking.
All right, I'm gonna reel us in. We're
Is- yes,
way past the
but
motion.
it's
It
extremely-
is, but
It's extremely walkable.
I'm not gonna sit here for another hour and talk about solving parking problems. This is the plan.
But I want to see the plan for the parking, because this argument means that this is extremely walkable, and if we had a shuttle, so we need to, whatever we put in this plan, we need to have the pricing set out to say, what if we asphalted that or finished that off? What is that going to cost us? We need, when that comes back to us, we need to know that.
We can work on that. I don't see any reason at this point to change the design and design something that may not get built. So I'd recommend again that we approve this as it is, if you're good with the western portion of the master plan, which is what we're proceeding with. And we can bring back options to amend the scope and what it would cost to do that additional as an asphalt lot or a concrete lot.
Okay, but the
or something
design
with
still
lighting.
includes the parking spaces.
Only as temporary.
Only as temporary.
To do a full hard surface parking, which is what it would be required to do permanent parking there, it alters what's in the scope of services significantly.
Well, I think we're wasting money. We're wasting money to do a study when we know darn well that we need the parking over there, and so we're throwing money out the window.
Yes.
If I may,
That's my opinion.
there are some limitations to this site. We have some subsurface conditions that we may not want to get into. You know, I think the dump and everything. So that's something we can talk with the consultant on. I'd request that we move forward with the scope as is, and we can amend based on conversations, and we can provide some feedback to you
Yeah.
at a future meeting.
I would agree with Mark. We can bring that forward back as additional options, what it would cost, how much
Well,
impact it has.
Like Dana said, 99? Okay, so it's time to bake the cake or get out of the kitchen, you know? Because we have to find the money someplace to do this right and provide the parking, because parking is the number one problem in our city down here.
For the moment, let's get it out of committee, get it to the board, and whoever wants to make amendments at the board level, feel free to
Okay.
do so.
Honestly, we're happy to bring those numbers back to the board. It's not that difficult to figure that out. We can
Okay.
get those
We
numbers.
need to know, yeah, okay.
Could I make a quick comment? Whenever you
Mayor?
bring that back, could you also bring us any pertinent data, comments from the parking study that we had done?
Yes, sir.
And any, what do they call them? Phase 1, Tier 1,
Yeah.
any of that? If any of that was done?
Yes,
Yes, we
sir.
do have an environmental study on the
Yeah.
area.
Yeah, okay.
We do have that.
That might matter too, Ms. Martin?
Sure.
One more thing. We have talked about having an area in this plot to park buses as they bring people in. They need someplace to go. Now, I don't, that may be something to come down the road,
It's
but.
included.
That's in this.
It's in,
Oh, it
It's
is?
in this, yes.
okay, there you go.
Okay, let's vote on this. This meeting's dragging. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'm voting for it because I was in the groundbreaking photo in 1998 or whatever it was.
Wow.
6, consideration of a professional services agreement with Los Design for the Liberty Park Master Plan at a lump sum cost of $98,000.
So again, as part of the 2019-2028 CIP, the board allocated around $5.4 million. Before we proceed with the design, what we need to do in working with the Parks Department is update our master plan. Some things have changed out there. Make sure that we have buy-in from the public, from the board, and then we can hone in on the first phase of construction once we have the board's support of that master plan. So we are recommending approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Second.
That's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion, Ms. Berger?
Lisa, what is this, we've talked about this, but they're going to do a master plan. So are you going to go over with them the things that we had talked about that are needed out there? So they've got a handle on all the
Correct.
needs?
Correct. So anything that has kind of evolved, we take the existing master plan and then how the property's being used today.
Yeah.
Now that we have the dog park, now that we have the farmer's market, now that we have the disc golf course, the things that are existing, we want to be able to add to those things that was in the master plan, but also make amendments to it. So I think if, everything that we've talked about will be included.
Okay, good. Because I have a lot of people over there that want more, things happening there because.
Years ago, when we did the master plan, that's a good point, for others that may be listening. When we did the master plan, we talked about doing some tennis courts on the site. Well, now pickleball's come through our community.
I can't wait.
I know, us either, along with even cricket. So having some practice facilities, incorporating some different things of having tennis and pickleball, as well as having some practice facilities for cricket, because we do have a larger population already utilizing this area. I think those things will be good. Plus, just for the general families, having pavilions and things in which we currently do not have. So, and the farmers market is very popular out there during the week.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
7, consideration of a joint funding agreement for water resources investigations with the United States Department of the Interior at a cost to the city of $43,575.
We bring this forward every year. It's just our annual agreement to fund the stream gauging stations that we have. And this is budgeted out of our engineering department budget.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
This is my favorite contract of all time. It's one page.
Yes, agreed,
Federal government, one page.
agreed.
Brilliant.
It never changes. Yep.
You can judge the quality of the author by the number of words it took. In many cases. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
8, consideration of a draft professional services agreement with Alfred Binesh and Company for the design of the bridge replacement on Pratt Lane over 5 Mile Creek in an amount not to exceed $94,125.
This is the one bridge that I'm aware of in Franklin that has a weight limit. It's also a commitment we made to the Lampo Group when they came in to develop, and this will get that bridge upgraded. We're recommending approval.
I recommend approval.
Second.
That's a motion and a second. Ms. Martin, you seem to have some reservation.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, unless you,
Every time we mention a bridge, before my bridge, then I'm not happy.
They're working on design right now.
Ms. Martin, I told you, we're going to make the Margaret Martin Memorial Bridge.
I don't care about the name of it, I just want it
No, I
done.
think you're missing the important word there.
Your bridge is ahead of schedule on compared
Yeah, I
to
did, I got it, memorial, and you're exactly right, that's what it'll be. It will be a memorial.
the West Main Bridge is under design now, so it's ahead of schedule compared to this.
It's on, it what?
It's under design. You've already approved that design contract.
The
We have
designer,
approved it, but where is it?
the designer got the survey before the
Is it-
holidays, and they've started the physical design, so I'm ready to have my microphone.
All right, it's on this list, but it's like number 17, way down.
Yeah, on the list of the actual project list, that has nothing to do with priority. The number has nothing to do with
It's-
priority.
If it makes that list, it's getting done.
Yep, there you go.
All right, I'll vote for this, but
You're going to vote for this one because you got the one you wanted? Okay,
Not yet,
Pro quo.
not yet.
that's hardball for a ward alderman there. Okay. Ms. Berger?
So where's the money coming from to fund this? I'm looking at which fund? And is it part of the impact fees at all?
No, it's not a collector road, so it is not part of
That's a
the
replacement.
impact fees, and it's a replacement of a bridge. So right now, we're showing it come out of the general fund, but we will work with finance to verify that,
All right,
to make sure that's
I'd like
appropriate.
to know. Okay, thanks.
And we will update that memo.
Anything else? Good, we're picking up steam. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 9, consideration of a draft resolution declaring certain right-of-way located between Cannon Street and Academy Street as surplus. We found some more alleys, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
We did. I'm gonna invite Lance Fitro up. He's one of our staff engineer threes that has been working on this, and let him take over and give an explanation.
Yes, sir.
You're up.
Exactly right. Another unpaved alley that, as far as we know, we do not have any city utilities, any infrastructure in the alley currently.
We doing the standard, split it down the middle and give half to each?
That is
Correct.
correct.
Yep, okey dokey.
There is one property at the end that has, in the past, received their half of the alley, essentially.
No, we already
So-
gave away part of it?
Yes.
Okay.
So- And that was prior to our policy of abandoning alleys in their entirety, which is our current policy. We don't piecemeal abandon them any longer. So
There's not even anything on that property.
there was not at the time of the picture. All right, there was a house that fronts on.
There is now?
On
Okay.
Cannon Street, yes.
All right, anything else we need to know about it?
Good. Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. 10, consideration of a draft professional services agreement with Alfred Benesch and Company for the design of the Lewisburg Pike Sidewalk Multi-Use Trail Project in an amount not to exceed $364,182.
We're recommending approval. This is another project that was funded through the CIP, and again, we'll have to bring back options on how much funding you want to spend, but the decision was made to design all the way to Mac Hatcher, and that's exactly what we're bringing.
Or at least as an option.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. But give the
Design option.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're
Good with that.
recommending approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Move
Okay.
for approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 11, capital projects dashboard and status updates.
As you've seen, I believe they presented this in December. This is where we'll head with our status updates for capital projects, is to have this on the dashboard. And when you click on any individual project, you can actually see what the status update would have been in the memo. So the same information that you used to get in that paper memo or the digital memo every month is now gonna be live here. So we'll update it as projects updated.
And that's available 24/7 to anyone with the
That's correct.
internets.
That's correct.
Awesome.
So we'll answer any questions you have about any specific
Yeah,
projects.
people call me, once a year or so, and they say, hey, what's up with this? And I just send them a link to that page.
Yeah, right now it's on the banner of the homepage.
Good. Keep it there.
Okay?
Is it, where's phase 4 in here, or is it down?
It's just down further. And just as a caveat, there's no rhyme or reason to the numbering. There's no priorities here. They're not even alphabetical, it's just as they were entered.
Okay. All right. Anything else on item 11? Okay. Other business, I have a request. This is in the area of recycling. With us having moved to the blue bins, the change doesn't make any difference to this, but a constituent approached me and said, we can't do glass. And the only way to do glass is to take it to one of the county recycling facilities. And the constituent suggested that what might be a good idea is to put a centrally located glass-only recycling depository, perhaps even somewhere in our parking lot here, that would be accessible only on weekends. So it wouldn't attract any traffic on a weekday when we're trying to, park employees and everything else. But it would be available to people who live, closer to here than to, on my end of town, Sneed Road or elsewhere. So, and it would be, and, you know, the one thing we don't do is glass. So,
And foam.
well, but no, I don't know if anyone does foam, but we don't do, glass is clearly recyclable, and if we put a modest sized, I don't know what it takes, green, clear, and brown, that was available only on weekends, it might be that we could,
Helps with that.
you know, boost overall recycling without creating a bunch of traffic, and it would be well-received by the people that would use it.
I know last July, I think the county pulled their last glass recycling location off of 96 East. We're exploring some alternatives actually down at the Municipal Services Complex right now, down at the
Century Court.
Century Court Sanitation.
I just think it would be good if we had a place where you didn't have to leave the city. And, because by definition, you're, for many people, you're going further out to the county's convenience center than,
Right. So when you look at a convenience center glass recycling setup, it actually takes up a fairly large footprint. We're trying to find a way to maybe scale that down to something.
right, like a third of that size or half that size. And like I said, available, if, depending on where we put it, available perhaps only on weekends, because that's when everybody wants to do it anyway.
Okay.
And we would also prevent conflicting traffic.
Okay, appreciate
Just
you
a thought.
sharing.
If we can follow up on that,
We've been
that'd be
digging
great.
into it, so yeah, thank you for sharing.
Do we have a source to take it?
The county's actually contracted with an organization that takes it now. We do not. Right now, you know, the glass that we get is through municipal solid waste, and we bring it to a
We
landfill,
just go,
so.
it just goes to
Yeah,
the
so
lake.
we don't have a deliberate glass recycling program. There's not, you know, it's a tough commodity at this point. The end user for glasses, there's not a lot of end users, so it's expensive to recycle. So that's, we're doing some digging on that. Like I mentioned, we're looking at the Century Court location as a, perhaps a county, city partnership to have a recycling center there for glass. And we have been exploring some other alternatives, possibly at, you know, some of our satellite facilities, fire stations come to mind, but that's just the idea at this point, but not necessarily a fire station.
Okay, are there any other items that need to be dealt with?
One quick comment. Whenever you look at those alternatives, if you would give us the physical note for us to start assuming glass,
Yes, sir.
because we don't have a physical note for glass now.
Okay.
All right,
Well, also, to remember, wherever you have glass recycling, it is loud. Just loud. So I wouldn't want to put it, like, if we put it in a parking lot here, which we wouldn't, I don't think, but, you know, we'll have all the residents, people around us complaining, because it is loud.
anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you very much.
So move.
Second.
Oh, I dealt with it, it's done. Okay.
Amen. Over and out.